A woman who complained about a methamphetamine information booklet given to her daughter at an Auckland high school still isn't satisfied with the explanation for why it was distributed to children. Some senior students at Massey High School in West Auckland were given a booklet with methamphetamine safety notes as part of a project. The school says the booklet was included as part of research material for a project investigating methamphetamine use in New Zealand. A big story at the moment. And principals say resources like this are important for preparing teenagers for life outside of school. Our reporter Sarah Robson has more.
Morgan Julian was shocked when her 17-year-old daughter, a student at Massey High School, brought home the pamphlet, which included a 10-point guide on ways for meth users to keep well. That, she says, encourages teenagers to take drugs.
I'm all for drug education. Children need to be made, and the youth need to be made aware that drugs are a real problem and they do have serious consequences. What I don't agree with is this particular take out of a booklet that basically advocates the use of an illegal drug.
Morgan Julian says meth is addictive and it can destroy families.
When you've watched somebody lose their entirety of their existence, their family, their home, themselves to something like meth, and you know exactly how destructive and disgusting it is as a drug, having that simple step-by-step guide being made available to children, whether they're smart or not, is irrelevant. Drugs are drugs.
The president of the Secondary Principals Association, Mike Williams, says students need to be trusted to use controversial learning material appropriately. He says while parents can't be blamed for being concerned, resources like this prepare students for life after school.
There's a real probability when their children are out in the big wide world the following year that they're going to come up with someone who is using or that is available, and that students need to be able to deal with that. And more than that, we want our young people to be going out in society and become the leaders out there and be informed and make stands, moral stands against some of these things. And they can't do that from a place of ignorance.
The Education Minister, Chris Hipkins, agrees, saying it's important schools discuss issues around drugs.
It's a little bit like sex education, the fact that schools are talking about it and teaching kids about it doesn't mean that they're encouraging kids to do it.
Chris Hipkins says while he's a bit wary about the material used by Massey High School, it's ultimately up to individual schools to decide what they teach students.
For me, the material being discussed perhaps goes a little bit too far. But ultimately that's a judgment for the school to make in consultation with their parent community. It's really important that the school talks to their parent community about what they're teaching kids.
The Health Education Association represents health teachers in high schools. Its co-chair, Rachel Dixon, says the association doesn't endorse the material in its entirety, but she says elements of it are relevant to the Year 13 school project.
I am absolutely sure that the learning would have been wrapped around a safe and supportive learning environment. The kids would have known the context for the learning. The subject or the topic of methamphetamine is not intended to glorify drug use whatsoever.
Massey High School's principal didn't want to comment any further about the issue. Morgan Julian has now taken down her Facebook post about the pamphlet, but her feelings about its content haven't changed. Mō te hōtaka o te ahi, ko Sarah Robson, aho.